Morning, children. Hope you all are fine by the grace of God. Today, for our English, we are going to learn a new lesson. The topic of the lesson is the first pup. This is a story about the author is sharing his experience, what kind of experience he had when they had a new pup in their house. Pup is a puppy, a dog's young one. The author's name is Ranjit Lal. He was born in 1955. He was born in Kolkata, then Calcutta, and educated in Mumbai. He has written fiction and non-fiction. Fiction is just stories you can make up. Non-fiction is based on true story or some good point they want to bring it out with the help of the story. And for both adults and children, as a freelance writer. Freelance writer means self-employed, like wherever he get an opportunity, he will write for the magazine, newspaper, like that. Different. He doesn't work under one person or under one company. That is freelance. He has had published over 1,000 articles, features and photo features in more than 50 newspapers and magazines in India and abroad. The areas of his interest are natural history, human, and satire. That means he'll mock at the present situation, something like that. So, shall we read the story? The upbringing of a pup is not an easy job. You have to be a loving companion and a caring master. In order to teach the pup the various ways of living with the human family, you have to understand its language and be sensitive to its needs. That's what the author and his sisters. So he had two sisters, they are Meena and Mala, have realized. So they are sharing their experience with us. Everything changes when there is a new and especially first pup in the house. Suddenly, your whole life and routine revolves around it. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. It's rather like what happens when a new baby comes home. We made all the bringing up mistakes it was possible to make with Bambi, and she reaped the benefits. That means she got the advantages of those nearly all her life. We never realized that pups are like babies would test the edibility of everything that came their way. Edibility means which can be eaten. So, and that pups had this insane and insatiable desire. That means a desire too great to be satisfied, to chew to pieces absolutely everything. It wasn't very long before shoes and slippers were ruined, table and chair legs began looking rather jagged around the edges, and even books, some of which I still have, were partially pulped and smelt of something awful for ages afterwards. We had to watch out that our pup didn't put her pretty face into electric sockets or chew live wires, which would have been disastrous. On one occasion, she swallowed a fairly large chunk of her own collar. That is the dogs, they'll have collar for the dogs. Large chunk means a large piece. She didn't seem at all discomfited. That means discomfort. But I was horribly worried that if it didn't come out, she might have to be operated upon. Thankfully, she dealt with the problem in a simple way. The next day, she staggered around retching, that means trying to vomit, and was sick, and out it came. What she swallowed, the collar came intact in a piece. But I'm glad we didn't have cell phones in those days. Of course, of course, this chewing mania, that means a strong interest in something that is called mania, stopped as she grew, but it didn't stop her from stuffing her face where it was not required. You know, Mummy says there is a packet, not pocket, packet of butter missing from the fridge. I was I was informed on returning from college one afternoon. Oh, so bits of the wrapping were found on the floor, licked clean. Licked clean? What? What do you mean licked clean? Where is Bambi? How could she have opened the fridge? Ah, and there was Bambi licking her chops a little too smugly and looking very satiated with life. Satiated with life means happy with herself, with a peculiar thoughtful glint in her eye. Someone had left the fridge door ajar. Ajar means open, and the rest, that is the butter, as they say, was history. We were horrified. Oh my God! Bambi's gone and eaten a whole packet of butter? Half a kilo of it. She's going to be ill. Sick, that's one. And sure enough, for the next 2 days, she was one very thirsty and unhappy and pukey. They say pukey means like vomiting. Boxer, looking very sorry for herself that she has made a mistake. As she as she tried to find a comfortable position to lie down in. Needless to add, there was lots and lots of cleaning uh, up to be do behind her. Of course, she didn't learn a thing from the experience and repeated the performance another time with a kadai full of oil in which kebabs had been fried. She had also discovered that waste paper baskets were interesting places to put her face into, and her investigations could have unexpected and startling consequences. One afternoon, Mina's mother-in-law to be was invited to tea. That is, to be mother-in-law means that Meena was engaged and her mother-in-law, would-be mother-in-law. As usual, my mother had gone all out with elaborate preparations. There were dainty egg and cucumber sandwiches in a decorative garnish of grand cabbage and carrot. There was cake, probably dark devil's food cake, and a magnificent bowl of rasamalai, all loaded up and decked up, decorated in white lace. The tea trolley. Have you all seen the tea trolley? They'll arrange everything and it can be moved. It's like a small table. they can move about. Squatted resplendently. That means it was ready to be served. And in the dining room, glittering with china and silver, ready to be rolled out in style. As usual, tea would be served in the veranda where the guest was being entertained. Excusing herself, my mother went to the dining room to make sure everything was perfect and to wheel out the trolley. But horror of horrors! What was that familiar and very suspicious headless brown shape right next to the trolley? And what were those slurping, slobbering noise emanating from underneath the tablecloth draped over it? Bambi? Bambi, bad dog, naughty girl. Get your face out of there at once. Ranjit, Mala, get your wretched dog out of here. So the mother was shouting. It was too late. A dripping black muzzle covered with white rasamalai emerged from under the cloth, and Bambi looked up guiltily, smacking her lips. We gazed in horror at the wreckage, the damage that she has done. The rasamalai was quite a mess. But luckily, Bambi had not got to work on the cake or sandwiches. If you tidy up the dish and a bit, no one need know. You know, smoothen it out and put some more silver paper on top. Maybe in a smaller dish. It was not a suggestion that was welcomed, and anyway, wouldn't have worked because Bambi had trotted off into the veranda to greet the visitor and let her know how delicious the rasamalai was. Luckily, the lady was very fond. That means she also liked dogs, fond of dogs herself, and spoilt her own dog worse than I did with Bambi. And Bambi was pardoned instantly. That means she didn't say it's a very big mistake what the dog did. Where we slipped up big time was by feeding Bambi at the table. So where they made the mistake, they started to feed Bambi at the table, which they should not have done. She was, after all, our very first dog, and none of us, that is my parents included, could resist those pleading eyes gazing up at us like some half-starved waif. That means she was not been given food for a very long time. As we ate, surely it could do no harm to give her a tidbit now and then, especially of the more palatable, that means the distasteful food parts of your meal. How could you eat with those eyes like limpid pools? Mala used to declare melodramatically, gazing at you like that and traveling from your plate to your hand to your mouth. In the old days, people used to put aside some of the food in their plates for birds and cows, and surely dogs, before they ate. So, this was really no different. Sometimes, of course, you were in a hurry, late for college or school, and what better and a quicker way to dispose of a rubbery toast? That means to escape from what you don't like to eat, you want to give it to the dog. And so nearly all her life, Bambi would turn up at the dining table during meal times and sit and drool and whine, and drool and whine, and drool and whine. And as we try to eat, drool means when the dogs, they will keep their mouth open, their tongue will be coming out, and there will be saliva watery coming from the mouth. That is called drooling. Whine means the sound, oh, like that they make, no? The sound. So like that this dog used to make whenever they eat by the table. Turn by turn, she would go from person to person looking terribly martyred. If we refused to give her anything, it would become 10 times worse when we had guests. Knowing full well that she was not likely to get anything from the family, she would sit down next to the guest, look pathetically. That means they feel very, oh, so sorry for that. No, that is pathetically at him or her, as if she had been starved. That means they have not given her food for last fortnight. Fortnight means 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, as if it has not eaten, and start her routine. What she used to do, ooh, like that. If this didn't work, she would place a paw on the guest's thigh and continue whining. That is making noise. Bambi, stop it. Behave yourself. Put your paw down at once. Do we behave like this when you have your food? And then she would produce her final weapon. What is that? Drooling. Copiously. That means the saliva will come from her mouth. She would put her dribbling chin, that is the water, saliva coming from her mouth, that chin, on the poor guest's lap and look up sorrowfully, lying down a large swathe of silvery drool on the guest's clothes. Ooh! You know, these cruel people don't give me anything to eat. I'm so hungry. Oh, that means as if the dog was, the way he was keeping his face, like all these things he was telling to the guest. Bambi, get your mug out of there. You have drooled all over Auntie's lovely sari. Disgusting dog. Really, so sorry. Here is a napkin. Or would you like a towel, damn dog? Here, let me wipe it for you. And if there were more than one guest, she would, of course, try her luck with each of them. It was a mistake, not repeated with the other two dogs, and has taught me a golden rule. What is the golden rule the author learned? No feeding at the table, ever. So this is what the author learned. From the first pup, they have started to grow. So children, read this lesson and learn the meaning for these new words. And in the next class, we will be writing the book exercise as well as the question answers. Have a good day, children. Bye.